What would Virginia Woolf think about convenience services? And defining convenience services as apps and technologies that prioritize efficiency and are aimed at saving a consumer's time. The primary examples are Amazon Prime, DoorDash, and Instacart. While services like Prime have a lot more environmental ramifications, I'm looking at it through a purely human interaction convenience service lens. First, I wanted to look at a couple of her published books, starting with Mrs. Dalloway, which explored themes like loneliness and human connection. The backdrop of a bustling city like London made a great setting for the fleeting moments of meaningful connection, such as the old woman singing in the garden, interpreted by Ritzia and Peter in very different but impactful ways. Another is the motorcar scene towards the beginning of the book, where a car loudly backfires in front of a flower shop, leading to a shared moment of curiosity and shared experience. In her essay, A Room of One's Own, Woolf's main thesis is that a private mental and physical space is needed in order for creative thought and work to happen. However, at no point does she equate privacy with isolation. In fact, she makes the point that human connections, in this essay specifically female friendships, are vital and irreplaceable. Through her character-driven novels, it could be interpreted that Woolf would be staunchly against convenience services that fragment human relatedness and social interaction. However, her personal diaries and letters shine a different light on her perspectives. To understand this, we need to look at Woolf's relationships to her servants. While growing up, her family employed a large staff of more than 6 servants, but through most of her adult life, Woolf and her husband employed only 2, her cook, Nellie Boxall, and her maid, Lottie Hope, both of whom Woolf had a rather close but tumultuous relationship with. Woolf found it difficult to enforce the power dynamic required of an employer to their employee, finding it difficult to keep distance. Her maid, Lottie Hope, was known to play practical jokes, once dropping a marzipan mouse into Woolf's tea. Her relationship with Nellie Boxall seemed to have been extremely complex. They constantly fought, and Woolf contemplated and attempted to fire Boxall multiple times, though she apparently lost her courage. Similarly, Boxall gave and then retracted her notice to quit dozens of times. Woolf once complained in her diary that she doesn't care for me or for anything, writing of Nellie as a close friend rather than an employee. There are multiple instances of Woolf thinking of the lower class as much beneath her and speaking cruelly about them. She and her sister Vanessa often complained about them in their letters to each other, and Virginia wrote, "I'm sick of the timid, spiteful servant maid." She once called one of her servants pompous and heavy-footed, and she also wrote that she felt that her brains were becoming soft by constant contact with the lower classes. After firing Nellie, she wrote in her diary, "The great scene with Nellie is now over, and of course much less violent than I supposed. Lord, what a relief now." Then she called her replacement, Mabel Haskins, a merry little brown-eyed mongrel. Additionally, the Woolfs paid their servants very little, both by societal standards and in relation to their household income, paying them £40 a year while they earned £4,000. It's worth questioning why exactly she seemed to feel so much animosity and vitriol towards her servants. One thing to note is that Woolf had multiple nervous breakdowns, after which she was cared for, looked after, and fed by her servants. She found this to be embarrassing and demeaning, as it took away from her idea of a fully autonomous and independent life that she wanted and wrote about in A Room of One's Own. To conclude, there is a slight disconnect in Woolf's published works and her personal relationships with her servants. Her books would argue that the saved time is not worth the lack of connectedness, and small events, like going to a physical flower shop, might lead to profound human connections. However, in reality, Woolf's opinions on those she deemed beneath her were quite low and disrespectful. She certainly wouldn't hold high opinions or respect towards the service workers themselves, though maybe she'd utilize their services anyway. It also might not be too far of a stretch to say that she'd be a bad tipper as well.